Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode, our monthly episodes of honest conversations and indie marriages, relationships, and having children. That's a mouthful because it is a lot. And even though it's been intended for monthly, it's been summer, so we've been kind of taking it slower, but we are back for the month of August. And so, Christy, always lovely to have you. And we were thinking about this month's episode, and then both of us, you love the '90s, I love the '90s too, and we were thinking about what should we name this episode, and you came up with the name of the episode, which, of course, what is it?
Now that we've found love, what are we gonna do with it? I'm not gonna
Yay.
like Heavy D and the boys because I'm not him.
So for anybody who knows, I love Heavy D and the Boys. I love the dance. And why did we name this episode after Heavy D and the Boys?
Well, because people get in relationships and sometimes they even get married, and then what are they gonna do with it? Like that relationship, the beginning of the relationship or the marriage, the wedding is just the beginning.
Hmm. And a lot of people forget that. A lot
I
of
think,
people forget that. They think that is the end game, and it is the beginning game.
yeah, start
Yeah.
start on the Monopoly board.
So, Christy, so as we're filming this, what day is today?
So today is Monday, August 18th, which is National Couples Day. And
Okay.
on National Couples Day, you're supposed to think about and show appreciation for what your partner does. And then also, think about, what you could be doing, for the relationship. If there's anything you could be doing different or better to make the relationship better.
Okay, so today is National Couples Day, and why are we talking about today? Since we are, our episode is called "Honest Conversations in Any Marriages, Relationships, and Having Children." Like, what is the significance of Couples Day in the topic that we are discussing?
Well, I mean, seriously, it boils down to Heavy D and the boys. Yeah, it's all
It
about
really does. It's all about Heavy D and the Boys. Yeah.
because um, now that you've found love, what are you going to do with it? So if you don't do anything with it, guess what? It's not going to be there anymore.
Hmm. Yep. 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 And so, you and I have our perspectives of, separation and mediation with children. With me, even though I do not do couples for a reason, I work with people a lot who are struggling in their interpersonal relationships, especially in the intimate and romance. And so when I hear them, I only hear their perspective, which is perfectly fine. My job is not to say there are two sides to the story. Of course, there's always two sides to stories, but as an individual therapist, my job is not to figure out the other person's side of this story. I'm here listening to my client's side of the story. And I kid you not, I hear a lot of people who feel that once they've dated for 6 months, a year, or got the ring, or after the wedding, that's when they're like, I got it. I got the big fish, or I got it. I don't have to do any more work. And it's like, actually, that's when the real work begins.
Absolutely. and you know, and I've experienced it in my dating life where, like I've been dating somebody for, I don't know, a while, say 6 months, and then all of a sudden, like the dude doesn't want to do the things that I want to do anymore. And it's like, what did you think? Like we were just to do after 6 months. And just like the communication doesn't get, gets worse, and you're just like, oh, this is why this dude is single.
So the effort is no longer there. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and this is just dating. And so, if you go into a long-term relationship, you guys have been together for a year or more, and maybe, in the future you're married, and you have this, same attitude of, I've already done all the work. Like, I don't have to do any more work. Like, think about it this way. So, like, if you're a salesperson and you got one sale, from a company of widgets, and do you want just one sale from that company, or do you want like a bunch of sales from that company over a long period of time? You want a bunch of sales from that company over a long period of time. So you have to keep communicating with whoever your contact is at that company. And you have to keep, giving them information that's valuable to them to seem like you're providing a good service to them. And um, not only, the thing you're selling them, but just, in general, that you're a useful asset to their business. And yeah, otherwise, they might go and get the widget from somebody else.
I love that. I love that analogy. And when you first began, I'm like, oh, where's she going with this? I'm like, oh, oh yeah. Because even as a business owner, I have so many emails of people just flooding and spamming, saying, "Hey, Paia, I can help you with this. I can get you more YouTube views, or I can give you more Instagram views." And you know what? They haven't even built a relationship with me. And it's like just coming in and thinking, "Hey, you suck, and I can do this for you." And you think about that, it's like the relationship, if you don't have a relationship, if you don't have the rapport, if you're not there listening, listening to the feedback, that person is gonna be like, "Well, no, why? Why?" And so that's how relationships, marriages are very much like.
Absolutely. Um, so that whole sales thing is just something that maybe some people understand better. But when you're in a relationship, a long-term relationship, including a marriage, you know, there are daily transactions. And those daily transactions are effort, time, like if you are not spending a good amount of effort and time on your relationship every day, why even be in that relationship?
Mhm.
Like, yeah,
I think a big part when I listen to people come to therapy is the lack of appreciation.
absolutely. And I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard that appreciation is really important to men.
Mhm.
Um, and that like when men feel appreciated, they will do like above and beyond what their partner would like them to do. But if they're not feeling appreciated, they might not even do what their partner wants them to do. Um,
Mhm.
and so like appreciation is like so important. Um, and like the obvious for, everyone is when you feel unappreciated, that, then the relationship is going to suffer.
Mhm. Why do you think, and men, if you're watching this, put it in the comment section. What is so important about appreciation for men? Is that something Chrissy, when you work with couples, is that something that couples, especially the men, ever say? I feel a lack of appreciation from you, and it's just been eroding, and that's why I feel like our marriage isn't working. Or what do you see in here?
Yeah, so I am not a couples therapist either.
Mm-hmm.
And so honestly, I try to have people give me as few details as possible
Okay.
about why their marriage, went sour, or their long-term relationship went sour. Um, but I do wonder, like, especially when I see certain behaviors by either person, where, somebody is not acknowledging, like good things that the person's done, during our mediation. And like
Mm-hmm.
all they have to say is all bad things. I'm like, hmm, I wonder, if that person felt unappreciated. And then because he or she felt unappreciated, then he or she stopped like putting effort forth. And then it's just like the slippery slope.
Mm-hmm. And
And
you
that's
see
never
that for
good.
both spouses then.
Yeah, I've seen it on both sides that I've wondered, like, you know, and I've seen it like a lot where women are like, you know, doing more than their share of the things around the house, and the child caring,
Mm-hmm.
and and then, that's from a women's perspective. I see that a lot. And then the women are kind of like, I mean, I'm practically a single parent anyways. I might as well be one.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you, maybe it's because most of my clients were women, but I also hear a lot of that from the women too, is they actually feel underappreciated, and the men are not understanding that their significant other is feeling underappreciated. And so when you are a person who feels underappreciated, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're not going to be your best happy self, and you are going to be the person who is tired. And when you're tired, you are not going to want to engage in certain behaviors or do anything. And so sometimes it's the husband who feels neglected. And so there's just like that misunderstanding. It's like, okay, why are you feeling this way as the wife or the mother? And it's like, it's because I feel this way and I need you to step up. I need you to step up so that I can be my best self, so that I can be the person that you need me to be. But because you're not there, I have to be both me and you a lot of times. And that's why it's like I feel like the single married mother.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. And that's another good point, is that, when you feel overwhelmed, you're not your best self either. And so, like, really, when you're in a relationship and you're getting like behaviors from the other person that are, not positive, then you need to think, okay, so this person is usually kind, or whatever it is that's the opposite of what the person's being right now.
Mhm.
And so you have to be like, oh, so why is this person being that way? And, and if you don't come up with it on your own, like, oh, the baby has been up like really, like 6 times a night the last 3 nights. Oh, she's really tired, or overwhelmed, or whatnot. I should ask what I can do, to make her feel better.
Mhm.
And if you can't figure out why the person's not acting like him or herself, then just ask. Just say, like, I know this sounds really, really crazy, guys,
I know.
but just ask, say, hey, I've noticed that whatever it is, and don't say it in a negative way. or, a judging way. Just say, "I've noticed that, and, you know, how are you feeling? And, what can I do to help?"
Mhm. Yeah, and Chrissy, that sounds so simple, but what if someone counterattacks and say, "I shouldn't have to ask you. You should see it."
Yeah, I've heard that some people, especially women, are like that, and that's so
Mhm.
unfortunate. Like,
Mhm.
that's not helpful either, ladies. That is not
Yeah.
helpful because it's apparently it's really hard to be a man, and it's really hard for them to, like, ask questions and start conversations, I guess. So, if your man, like, actually asks you, "What's going on?" "Why are you feeling this?" or "Why are you feeling that?" or, "I can tell something's wrong. What's wrong?"
Mhm.
If he'll actually ask you that, then
Mhm.
it just at least be nice with your response and just tell him what's wrong.
Mhm.
Because guess what? Nobody's a mind reader.
And I have to call women, sometimes we feel like our partners should be mind readers because of things that are so freaking obvious, right? It's so obvious to us, but it's not obvious to them, unfortunately. It's not obvious to them. And so you have to explain it to them, and they're not mind readers, and hopefully that will be an open gate for the open communication and being honest and just saying, "This is what I need from you. I'm noticing these things. What's going on? How can I help you?" And so that you can have, again, the back and forth honest conversations so that the romance doesn't deteriorate. And when we say romance, we're not talking February 14th romance. We're talking about the everyday things that truly matter in a relationship. I mean, flowers and chocolates and wine are great, don't get me wrong, but you need more than that to sustain a long-term relationship.
Right. Like, what really makes a difference in your daily life? Does getting those things once a year really make a difference in your life? Or does having somebody ask you how your day is, and
Mhm.
how did you do with that, big, decision you had to make at work today? Like, what did you
Mhm.
decide, and how did that turn out?
Mhm.
Um, or like if you're a stay-at-home mom, like, how did um I don't know, checking out that new playground go, or um,
Mhm.
whatever, like, is new in your life on that day, is your partner, checking up on you and showing interest in your life, is that more important on the daily, or is like a trip here and there, or fine dining a couple times a
Mm.
year, which is more important?
Right. And maybe it's all of that for someone, everybody is so different. And so what I feel is romantic is very different from you. And so, it could be all of that. It could be all of that, or it could be someone who just needs someone to do the dishes without being asked, or clean the toilet, or doing things that, again, you and I would think it's very normal to see, and not having to ask your partner to do it because that's energy to ask someone to do it.
Man, you are not wrong about that. Like,
I
I
know I'm not wrong about this.
I'm not gonna lie, it's you know like, I've been partnered with people, and, and it's not that they're not capable and that they won't do things, but, in the past, it has definitely been like, "Gosh, I can't believe I have to ask him to do this thing," like,
And it's visible. It's right there.
"Yeah, this thing hasn't been cleaned, in a week, and it looks crazy," and he walks by it every day, and he knows because 'cause I've told him that I have A, B, and C to do,
Mhm.
and why isn't he just doing it?
Did you find them less attractive after that, Christy? Like your attraction to them was it less after that?
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, so like with my late husband, I just honestly just started like telling him, this is what you need to do today. Um, because honestly, he wasn't even used to men doing housework. He
Mm.
grew up in a family where his mom did everything. So, he needed a little help, but that just worked better. Just me being like, you know, I'm going to do this. Will you please do this? And all that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And yeah, honestly, lack of doing stuff, even after being asked, is why one of my relationships ended. Because I was like, I don't need another child. Oh my gosh.
And I think that's why a lot of people, and you're you're a Gen Xer. You're born in the 1970s, correct? I don't, and
73.
so
I'm old.
you're so young. And so you're like the Gen X generation where I think people grew up, the expectations of marriage was different from millennials and Gen Zs because I feel like millennials and Gen Zs are less tolerant of that in relationships now, or perhaps, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, your generation was more telling it's expected, this is what you should do. And so hearing saying that your late ex-husband was not used to this because that would probably be where his mom was a boomer or his parents were boomers or even the silent generation then like born in the 1940s and 1950s then. That's not silent generation, boomers, which was very different.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like I just kind of had to clue him in because, like, he just didn't know, like, how to do any chores.
Mm,
Like, yeah. And, these skills can be taught and
yeah.
everything. Um, and, I've read that especially in traditional cultures, that really things haven't changed much.
No, they haven't changed much, and I think there's why there's so many dynamics about our current world of declining birth rates and declining marriages because of all of this.
Yeah. So like as far as, getting married, fewer people under the age of 40 are getting married. Um, but they are still having children. And so then you still have to, co-parent with somebody, um, including even after the relationship breaks up.
Mhm.
Because a marriage is 60% likely to end. So if you folks aren't even married, then I can just take a guess that it's like at least 75% likely to end.
Mm.
So you're going to have to, eventually work, together to co-parent 75% of the time. And so, you know, let's start having some good communication skills so that
Mhm.
your child doesn't have to suffer because you guys can't communicate well.
Whew. Wow. Yeah, unfortunately, it's the child that suffers. And if anybody who's watching this who is a child of divorced parents and probably did not have the best of divorced parents, put it down in the comments and just tell us how your experience was, if, especially if your parents could not communicate. And oftentimes, unfortunately, children are used as weapons towards each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, obviously, some relationships do work. And so, be building, using good communication skills and thinking about, showing appreciation and communicating your wants and needs, not just thinking that the other person magically knows what you want. Because let's remember that what you have in your brain is not in that other person's brain. Every single person has unique experiences in his or her their life, and nobody knows exactly what's going on in your head. And so, build, do all the things that help sustain a relationship. And guess what? You'll be the 40% that doesn't end in divorce, or the 25% when folks aren't married that doesn't end in separation. It'll be a lot
Mhm.
more likely that you make it.
Mhm. When you talk about that 25%, is that 25% with children or no?
Um, so, I'm just guessing that 75% of
Mhm.
non-marriage relationships end because 60% of marriages end. And it's
Mhm.
even harder to get out of a marriage than it is just a regular relationship.
Mhm.
I'm just, you know, using an educated guess that's even more that
Mm.
end in separation. Because, you don't have to find a legal professional such as myself.
Mhm.
You trust and then pay that person. And and then if it gets conflictual, maybe you can't, like, super conflictual, and maybe there's some mental health issues involved. Maybe you can't use someone like me, and then it costs a lot of money,
Mhm.
and it's a long process. So, that's what people who want to get out of marriage are facing. And so some people just stay because they're just like, I can't afford it. Or, oh gosh, that's so much work. I mean, especially if they weren't putting a lot of work into the relationship to begin with,
Right.
they probably won't want to put a lot of work to get out of the relationship either.
Mhm.
Because, people's, you could, confirm this by you, but people's patterns of behavior, they just kind of go from one thing to the next, right?
Yep. And I'm gonna be honest, cause chaos. It's chaos. It's chaotic for other people too. And some people would rather not deal with whatever it is that they're dealing with and would rather go out there and just continue the patterns, which cause chaos, which has a domino effect. And then other people get impacted by those decisions of that person who refuses to do their internal work.
Right.
Hmm. I was going to say, Christy, have you had couples where communication was good and it made the process so much easier? Or do you feel that if they had good communication, they would not be seeking out your services?
Hmm. So, if people have good communication, they are a lot less likely to be divorcing or separating and then needing, a child custody order. Um, but I mean, honestly, a lot of people just grow apart. Like, I read a statistic the other day that when people marry before the age of 25, they
Mm.
are 80% likely to divorce.
I'm not surprised because your brain is not fully developed yet. And then, Christy, you're going to have some people say, no, but I got married young and it worked. It, uh, uh, this sounds harsh, and I'm going to say it. Everybody thinks that they are the exception, that they're going to be the exception. And I'm sorry to say, not all of you are the exception. Good kudos to you, but not all of you are going to be the exception.
Right. And there are, great relationships that started with high school sweethearts, or people who met, the first couple of years of college, or, whatnot.
Mm.
And there are, great relationships.
Yeah.
But, some people, when they get further into adulthood, um, they either realize things about themselves or the other person.
Mhm. I try not to shudder when you said high school relationships. I'm like, "Oh God, imagine me in your high school." Ugh. I'm
I
a very what do you call it? I'm a very, realist where I'm just like, "Oh, gross." And some people find that so romantic. I'm not the type, so I'm just like, "Ew." I'm that type, okay? I'm not a romantic, let's just say that. I'm just like, "Girl," or like, "Dude," like, you don't even know yourself, you know? And so that's all you know, and maybe that's what you're comfortable with. Oof, I know. And so and maybe people are, they're probably like, "Payo, you're just bitter," but I'm not bitter. I'm just saying, that's my experience too of what I've seen professionally and personally.
absolutely, like, in high school, like, your world is, like, this big, and then, like, you go to college or, you get into the workforce or, whichever you choose to do. And then you meet people there and then it's there, and then your world's like this big. And, you know, yeah, yeah. High school sweethearts. I have divorced some. Um, yeah.
Okay. You're gonna leave it at that? You're just like, yeah, yeah. What about college sweethearts? Have you divorced a lot of them too, or no?
Yep, yep. A lot of people who I have divorced met in college, like either they were in classes together or they just, they're both in college, even different colleges and then met then. Um and some people it works great for because at least you have a little bit of real world experience.
Mhm.
Um but people change and it might not be for the good. And I've also noticed that, some people think they want something and then they really don't. Or some people think that they have this value or belief, but then when they try to put it into practice, they're like, "Ooh, I don't really want that."
Mhm.
um, and and if somebody marries you thinking that you have these beliefs that you're going to act on in a certain way, and they're counting on that,
Mhm.
that's when things deteriorate.
Mhm. So I'm an elder millennial, like zillennial. I was born in the early 80s. And so when I went to college, a lot of girls, I'm going to say girls, a lot of women my age all got married at 22, 23, 24, 25 years old also. And now a lot of them are divorced and they're in their second or even third relationship. And they're my age, Christy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm not that old, okay? I'm like 41. I'm like, "Whoa, wow." I'm like, people move really fast. And again, this sounds very judgmental. It's not my intention to sound judgmental. It just says, do you actually know what you want? Or is this something that you've been taught that you need to want or should want?
Yeah. So, another statistic showed that, like people who get married, their first divorce is likely to be around age 30. So your friends are not uncommon. Um,
No, they're
they're
not.
like par for the course. And and I actually didn't realize that until actually my fiance was googling some statistics about divorce the other day. And because he's interested in it. And um and I was just like, wow, 30 is like the age of the first divorce. I was always thinking it was like more like 40, because I
Mhm.
was like thinking people aren't really getting married that young these days, are they? But apparently they are, because otherwise they wouldn't have their first divorce on average at age 30. So apparently there still are people, a lot of people who are getting married in their young, young to mid 20s, and then the first divorce on average at 30. And so it's like, wow, like they could have like divorce at 30 and then 40,
Mhm.
50 and then
Right. You see the look of my face. I'm just like, yeah. Um, So, congratulations to all of you 30 plus year olds who have escaped your first divorce. Woohoo!
Exactly. Yeah. I've met several people who has read the same statistic and then they were like, so, I'm getting married next year. I'm 34, so I've already like, you know, I'm not going to get divorced then. It's like I already got rid of, one of the divorces. So, and but
You're
they're
less
not wrong.
likely to get divorced then after you marry after 30.
Um, so the statistic says if you marry before 25, you're 80% likely to get divorced. I don't have a statistic for like what is the best age
Mhm.
to get
Yeah.
married at, but
Yeah.
it probably would be like 30 or older, probably.
I would say so too. And professionally, when I see when you're after 30, it's like you know yourself way more. Like you know yourself more. You hopefully have tried some things that were good and bad. And after 30, you're more, I think, like professionally, you're also more stabilized. And maturity wise, hopefully, you're more mature too. However, the 30-year-olds that I know today, I don't know about that. Because 30-year-olds
Yeah.
are not born in 1995, and to me, they're babies, Christy.
You're not, so that is one of the people who I met recently who said she's getting married next year. And, she's like, yeah, I'm going to miss that first divorce since, I'm 33. She said, when you're in your 30s, you have a career established, you know who you are and what your goals are in life, both
Mhm,
professionally and personally. You have some assets, so you're
mhm,
not financially dependent on the other person.
mhm,
You have like a lot of friends. So you're not, less likely to, be socially isolated. Um,
mhm.
it's just kind of, I guess, basically you have your shit together.
Yeah, you would hope so, you know? I would say so too. And when you're in your 30s, like we all have messy days, okay? Let's say that I have messy days too. We all have messy days, maybe even years. But I think the thing about it is in your 30s, the hope is that you have the tools, the tools to deal with that, to deal when you do have messy days. How are you taking care of yourself? What are the tools to help you regulate? When you're in your 20s, okay, you're having a mess. It's like, okay, all right, you're in your 20s. You get more of a free pass, but in your 30s, you don't have that free pass as much anymore. It's like get your shit together or find a way to get your shit together or pay someone to help you get your shit together.
Yeah.
So there's less forgiveness in your 30s of being messy.
Yeah. And so, if you are in a relationship, that's a mess. Last week was a National Relationship Resurrection Week. And, so the relationship can be savable. Like you could do the things that, you really, would be best if you had done from the beginning.
Mhm.
Um, but you could start doing them at any time. Like the story is not over. You can rewrite it every second
Mhm.
and, just start doing the things that, help a relationship.
Mhm. Okay. So in situations like that, have you seen where some people come to you and say, "Christy, you know what? We've talked about this and we're going to hold off on working with you." Or no? Do they ever say, "We're going to work on our relationship. We're going to do the things that we missed and we talked about, and we're going to give this one more shot, another shot."
No, that has not happened with my clients.
Okay.
And but I do, I would like just to spread the word that, to do that, to try that, because the grass is not always greener on the other side. And honestly, listen up, folks. If you don't change your behaviors, you're going to be divorcing multiple times because your behaviors follow you into every relationship. So, first marriages are 60% likely to end, second are 70% likely to end, and third and greater marriages are 80% likely to end because the people did not do what they needed to do to become better in that next marriage. Maybe the fault is not necessarily that they're not a good communicator or they don't show appreciation or they don't communicate their needs well or whatever, but it could be that they keep partnering themselves with people who don't do those things.
When you said that, the first person that came up to my mind was Jennifer Lopez.
Who is she married to right now?
She got divorced to Ben Affleck.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know how many times she's been married. I want to say 3 or 4. She's been engaged 6 times.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. And so I think she's finally given it a rest to not get engaged again, and I think she said she's gonna focus on herself now. Kudos to you, Jennifer Lopez, if you are watching this. Kudos to
Right.
you.
Yeah.
Honey, go do your work and see what it is that you need to work on because after 3 or 4 marriages, there has to be a moment when you think, "Why isn't this working?" After my 3rd, even after your first one, I think you should
Yes.
really think. It shouldn't take you 3, 4 marriages to think what's
No.
going on here.
No. Yeah, like when even like a long-term relationship ends, you need to be like, okay, what was my part in this?
Mhm.
Because everybody has a part, even if it's a small part. Even if it's like I said, oh, like I shouldn't get in relationships with people who don't want to communicate with me
Mhm.
or don't show appreciation or
Mhm.
etc. Like, even if it's just that you're allowing yourself to get into relationships with people who don't have skills,
Mhm.
that's your part in it.
Yeah. This is gonna sound very unpopular, and I'm gonna say it because I think some people are better off just being single.
Right. So, yeah, if you don't have the ability to discern when someone is good for you or not, that will just honestly be used against you
Mhm.
by manipulative people, especially
Mhm.
like narcissists and people with
Mhm.
personality disorders. And so you will just end up being a pawn in their game. And yes, then you would be better off just being single.
Mhm. And when you and I talk about this, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of emotional work to invest in someone else, and I don't think people understand that. They think, "Oh, I'm just gonna sleep with this person. That's all that matters. We're gonna watch movies. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that." But like Madonna says, what happens after, you're out of the like satin sheets? We're going all 90s today. So like Madonna says, like, what happens when you're not in those sheets? Like what happens? Do you even like each other or no? And I see a lot of people who don't like each other, but got together because of loneliness, because they think that this is what they should do, or they're bored, or because they want like sex. And yes, I said the word. And so it's like when none of that is available, like, do you actually genuinely like each other as people? And most people do not like their significant other as people. Mhm.
Yeah, because I mean, in a normal relationship, like what percentage of the time do you spend having sex or making love? Like
Mhm.
percent or something?
Right, right. And if you're watching this, you're like, "I get it all the time. Kudos to you." But, like, what happens outside of that? Like, do you actually enjoy being with that person for who they are? Not what they bring, but who they are.
Right. Like, you get up in the morning. You don't immediately have sex, do you? No, you go to work.
And if you do, awesome. But then you go to work,
Right,
you know? And so,
right. And
yeah.
there are kids to take care of sometimes, and there's a house
Right.
to take care of, and there are financial decisions to make, and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, like none of all those things have anything to do with sex. But you know
Yeah.
what? They have everything to do with communication.
Yeah. Yeah. How they show up, how the other person shows up, how you show up also. And if you're shocked about whatever it is, like ask your partner, what is it that you need from me? What am I not, what am I not giving you that you feel that is important?
Absolutely. And today is National Couples Day, and so it's a great day, to just ask the person, is there anything that you need from me that I'm not doing, and and or just show some extra appreciation and see how that goes. And man, let me tell you, you will be surprised.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's, you know what they say, it's like truly the everyday things that truly matter.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so bringing it back to the not relationship thing again, like if you went into work every day and you were just like barely present at work and you were half-assing everything.
Some people do that too. So, but that's
Like,
not really like, but you're not happy though, You're just going through the motions and you're just languishing.
yeah, like how well do you think you're going to do at work?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, do you think maybe you could get fired if you're just kind of like half-assing everything? Or
Mm-hmm.
like if you have a sales job, do you think you're going to meet your quotas? Do you think you're going to get much commission? Or if
Mm-hmm.
you're a business owner, do you think you're going to have many clients if you're half-assing, your
Mm-hmm.
marketing and your networking?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to half-ass your business life, don't half-ass your personal life, because really how happy you are at home more greatly affects how happy you are going to be in your business life than how happy in your business life you are affects how happy you are at home. There was a study done, I think it was like a year ago, and it tracked like a group of a couple thousand people, and studied like, does a happy home life reflect and create more happiness at work, or does a happy work life create more happiness at home? And it
Mm-hmm.
was definitely that when your home life is better, the business life is better. And it's because like
Same.
who you have a child with and who you marry or partner with are the most important decisions that you will ever make, because those people have the most effect on your life, every single part of your life.
That's so true. They have the biggest influence on your life.
Like work, you can leave at work.
Mm-hmm.
Home, you can't leave anywhere.
That's your home. That's what you go to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Such important things to always consider. And again, I say this for all of our episodes. It's not that we're anti romantic or anything. We are having real conversations because we are part of the cleanup crew profession. And we see this. And this is why we do these episodes. It's to say, yes, some people are the norm, out of the norm. They get married young, they succeed. Yes, they do that. And everybody wants to be that outlier. They want to be the exception. And the reality is, not everybody is the exception. And so, when you're not the exception, how do you take care of yourself? How do you protect yourself? How do you protect your children who are in this union? Because it could, other people unfortunately don't have good intentions.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, if you try everything and you try to do all the things, that's supposed to be done in, a great relationship, communication, um, and appreciation and giving understanding when the person is down. If you've done all the things and it's still not working, then yeah, and divorce, might be what you need to do.
Mhm. Yeah, I know that's hard to hear, but that's why you're here, Christy. You're here to help guide people and you're help to empower people. I know people don't think that divorce is empowering, but sometimes that is how you forge your own path and you own it. Especially you've been stuck and you've lost yourself.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like at least one of my clients is always happy. And I would say like a third of my clients, both parties are happy because when you're in a marriage that's just not working, like neither person is happy.
Mhm.
Like as long as that person is rational.
Mhm.
Neither both people are
Rational.
rational.
Yes.
Neither person is happy in that relationship. And
Mhm.
so, it's like, oh no, divorce, such a horrible thing, but really living a lie is a lot worse.
Mhm. And too many people live lies, they're afraid, and they choose to live a lie and be miserable.
Yeah.
Yep. And Christy and I are here to say you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be that. You can, yeah, you can find your freedom when whatever that freedom is.
And remember, like if you're miserable, there's a good chance the other person is too.
Hmm. And if you have children, your children are probably, unfortunately, children know. Children know emotionally, they know physically, they feel it. If parents are not happy, children feel it too.
Oh boy, do they
Mhm.
ever.
Do they ever? And
I can speak from personal experience.
right. And when you say I'm staying for the kids, sometimes the kids are like, don't stay for us.
Let me just tell you, the kids say don't stay for us.
Hmm. You might think you're martyring and being the better parent by saying, oh, yeah, we're doing this for kids. Don't do it for the kids. The kids want you to go your separate ways.
Yes, the kids want to live in a peaceful home and hopefully have less emotional and perhaps physical abuse.
Hmm. That could be another episode. To stay or not to stay for the kids. Wow. Anything else you want to add to our episode today, Christy?
Nope, that's about it.
Okay. I feel like there's so, all of this is so complex. And at the same time, though, I think once you know what is best for you, it doesn't have to be complex anymore.
Nope. And you have professionals who can help you through it. If you're in Minnesota, I can help you.
Mhm.
And if the person who you're married to or have a child with is not a reasonable person, and won't work with someone like myself, then I can refer you to attorneys. And if you're not in Minnesota, just Google,
Mhm.
and there are professionals who will help you.
Okay. And all of Christy's information will be in the description box too. So, yeah, that is all that we have for today. If you enjoyed today's episode, hit the like button. And if you're new to my channel and like everything that we're doing, hit the subscribe button. So, yeah, so this is month of August. Christy and I will be back in September. Holy moly, Christy. I think you and I started this in January
Yes.
where we were talking about like ending marriages as New Year's, and now we are in August and we're going to be in September soon.
Yep.
So if you enjoyed this episode and if is there anything that you would like for Christy and I to like talk about, please put it down in the comment section. So again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Christy, any last words before I say bye to our audience?
Um, make it a good National Romance Month by focusing on things that make relationships good, which is communication, appreciation, time, and effort.
Love that. Great, great, great ending. So everybody, thank you.